Today we're looking at the whole subject of fraud, and I'm with Devon Witter from the Community Vision Fraud Watch. Also Alan Brown, he's from East Riding of Yorkshire Council, he's the Crime Reduction Officer. Alan, you're involved in this whole sphere of activity, aren't you? But you've got some questions for Devon.
How secure is being permanently logged in? For instance, if I wanted to buy something off Amazon, I may go on, log in, buy an item, then just simply not log off.
So really for us, it's around that advice of, well, is it your online banking? Because, I mean, really, your online banking is going to automatically log you out anyway. Or it should do if you're with a reputable bank. It'll log you out. If it's websites where your card details are stored, again, a lot of these websites now have mechanisms in place where if it's inactive for a certain period of time, it'll log you out. Again, though, if you're always going to be logged in, and I asked the question asked the other day about, well, my Outlook's always logged in on my laptop, but you've got a password setting, hopefully set on your phone or on your laptop, that if somebody wants to get hold of your physical device, then actually they can not get into it because you've got a password there anyway. So again, it's not about actually are you safe when it's just left logged in. It's around how secure is the device itself.
And really, you should be logging out, really, shouldn't you?
Ideally should, but again, people forget. You might get distracted, you might walk away, but the advice is lock your device instead if you can do. And a lot of the websites always rely on that idle timer, and it'll kick you out after so long.
Is it a good idea to check your bank statements frequently?
Definitely. So we were discussing earlier as well in a private conversation about how certain payments have been spotted just by sitting and looking at bank transactions. It's always good practice to check your bank statements. Do you recognise all the payments? And it might be that you'll spot an error that's been made by an organisation, or actually you're spotting unrecognised transactions. And it's also same, we tell people to check their credit score as well. You can sign up to various credit checking websites like Experian and ClearScore, and get a monthly email to say that your credit score's been updated, or it's changed, or it's stayed the same. So you can also then use them to see if somebody has used your personal details to take credit out in your name.
But here's the thing, we're now in a society where we're being encouraged, the cashless society. More often than not, we're using our cards all the time. How often are you asked, do you want a receipt? And you say, no, thanks, I'm all right, thank you very much. How on earth are you going to be able to check often very small amounts of money? And it could be that the fraudsters are actually doing that, and they're going for the small amounts of money, and it all adds up.
Definitely, and again, sometimes when you're using these contactless payment machines, sometimes they display on your transaction as something that you might not recognise. So it's always worthwhile, if you get 5 minutes, just go and have a look through that month's bank statement. Are the transactions on there that you're unsure about, and query them, because actually there's a chance that the bank will return your money for you. Or if you paid on a credit card, we always know that if you're using a credit card, you've got to pay it off in full. So if it seems higher than it should be, your bill, have a look why, and then you might find that actually you've spent something that you didn't think you had.
You mentioned earlier there's a change in the law in banking fraud in 2022. I think this relates to putting more onus on the bank rather than the individual to stop cards or similar. Is that right?
Yes, really, we want the law changed so that banks now have more of a responsibility to make sure that all the customers are more safe. So you might have noticed over the last year or so that when you've gone to get money out at a branch, they've asked you more security questions, or when you're trying to transfer money online, you've had a prompt that says, are you a victim of fraud? Or some banks ask it differently. They may ask, do you know the person you're sending the money to? So the banks now should be taking more responsibility to make sure that they're keeping you safe, because at the end of the day, it's your money, your information, but they're the ones looking after it for you.
And as a customer, you should ask the bank maybe, what is the situation if you are a victim of fraud? Just so again, fraud is one of these issues where you can't assume all the time you're being you're a victim of fraud, but you may well be. You need to have the tools ready to go, right, I need to talk to the bank.
Definitely, and I mean, as a customer as well, we're hoping that the bank may spot those unrecognised transactions. So it's always worth having that conversation with the bank around what's their policies to keep me safe and my money safe and my information safe.
An awful lot of fraud appears to be cyber related, and from layman's point of view, like myself, it seems to be increasing fast. What are the police doing to address that?
So the police have processes in place to identify which crimes they can investigate, and they'll focus on those that are most vulnerable, those that have lost the most amount of money as well, because as you can imagine, they've got to prioritise cases of what they can and can't deal with. Again, it's more around the saying that the police use is we can't arrest our way out of this. What we need to do is work with the police and partner agencies to raise awareness of how can we stop you from becoming a victim of fraud before thinking about, if I'm a victim, what are the police doing about it. The police are doing as much as they can do, but unfortunately, because fraud is growing, we need to, as well as an organisation and as the wider community, try and help ourselves as well.
So it's all right having the police looking into it. It's all right having all these partner agencies looking into it. What am I going to do about it? There is personal responsibility here. You can't just say, well, you know, it's for somebody else to resolve this.
That's it, exactly. It's your money and your information, so you need to make sure that you're using our advice and protecting yourself first before becoming a victim and then hoping that somebody can help you. Unfortunately, if somebody has lost a lot of money, there's a chance that that might never be returned as well. So if we can try and prevent that from happening in the first place, it's what we'll try and promote as well. So what I haven't told people is that by listening today, you've signed a contract with me, and I'm going to tell you now that because you've agreed to it, I want you to tell 2 other people something that you've learned. So go and tell 2 other people and help us spread that message.
I think also the interesting thing here is that we're all very keen. You know, if we buy a nice, nice new television or whatever device or whatever, air fryer, we'll get the instructions. Of course, we'll read them, won't we? But when you're dealing with cyber, anything online and whatever, we don't do enough research, do we? Before we decide, right, I'm going to start using online banking. I'm going to start using my card rather than cash. We don't, beyond making that decision, we don't know what's behind it all. We need to, don't we?
I think really the advice is that if you're going to buy something, obviously try and trust the organisation that you're buying from. Hopefully they'll be genuine and help you as well. But it's around actually, do you know what permissions you give in that app, for example, when you download an app? Do you know what permissions that you're giving them? What data are they asking you for? And have you looked at why they're asking for that data as well? So, yeah, we need to be really checking what we're signing up to first. Nobody likes to read the small print, but it helps.
Yeah, when you go online, when you get a bit bored, when there's nothing on the telly tonight, or maybe even nothing on the radio, why do you have a look at all your social media stuff? That'll be an interesting read and a long one.